everybody. This is Grace with Intero Real Estate Services. May is actually National Stroke Awareness Month. So throughout this month, I'm going to talk about stroke awareness, what are the symptoms, and my experience of having a stroke about 1.5 years ago, and also bring in experts to come help us to learn about what we can do to improve our health, both physically and mentally, to hopefully avoid one in our lives. So today I have a very special guest with me. Her name is Adile Esen. She is a certified Transcendental Meditation Teacher with the Transcendental Meditation Center in Mountain View. So after my stroke, a lot of people came to me and say, Grace, you must be having too much stress. That's why you had a stroke. I didn't feel like I was having a lot of stress. I did not have high blood pressure. I didn't have high cholesterol. I slept like a baby. To me, I thought it was just everyday regular stress. It's something we can handle. But I thought if stress is one of the reasons why I had a stroke, I wanted to do something about it. So that's why I get connected with Adile and learn Transcendental Meditation from her. So thank you for being here, Adile.
Thank you, Grace. It's a wonderful time to be here, and I really appreciate and I'm grateful for you taking this time, the energy to create this awareness. It's wonderful.
I think it's important because a lot of people didn't want to talk about it, and in Silicon Valley, we all have a lot of stress to go around, and TM has helped me a lot. And I didn't think I was under stress, but after I learned TM, I knew when I was under a lot of stress, and TM actually helped me to mitigate it. So, well, first of all, Adile, you have been a TM teacher for a long time, 12 years?
That's correct.
Yeah, and
yes.
You have been practicing meditation yourself for over 30 years?
Yes, I started in 1990, actually.
That's
yes.
great. That's great. So tell us, why is it important to meditate?
That's a great question. It's actually crucial. It's really essential, just like eating and drinking and exercising. And in our modern world, we have been focusing on two things. First is mouth, right? Mm-hmm. What we put through the mouth. Mm-hmm. Let me control what I'm eating. And that's great. Mm-hmm. We should have some awareness of what's good for us, for our physiology and all of that. And the second thing we've been putting our attention on is muscle, right? Mm-hmm. Let me build my muscles and let me work out and stay healthy that way. So the two M's, the mouth and the muscle.
Okay, okay.
Meditation is the third M.
Oh,
and that's the one that we've been missing.
Okay.
And so meditation, and what is meditation? It's the mind. And meditation, actually, most people think it's controlling the mind, and it's actually the opposite. It's actually settling the mind. Mm-hmm. So the reason why it is so crucial is because in our life, and especially like you said in Silicon Valley, it's not really the stress. The stress is there because of the changing circumstances. Mm-hmm. Our life here in the Silicon Valley, but all over actually, for a human being, that's the nature of life, that everything is changing constantly. Mm-hmm. Here it's changing more dynamically, especially in real estate. It's up and down, up and down. So we're always in the midst of change, change. You were not thinking, or our friend Eileen, none of you had an idea, right, that all of a sudden you're gonna have this experience of life-changing experience of a stroke. So our health is changing, our relationships are changing, the market is changing, and we do need to experience a level that is non-changing, that is more constant. And the beauty of meditation is, when properly practiced, that level of non-change, that level of settled inner calm, quiet, peace, that is within each and every one of us. So proper meditation, properly practiced, is a way to give the attention an inward direction, out of this outward change, go, from that outward direction to inward, inner, settled, calmer level of peace and quiet. And the beauty of it is, all scriptures have been talking about this all different traditions. One is the one that we're most familiar with, is Kingdom of God is within. Well, that kingdom of God is actually within each and every one of us. We just haven't been accessing it, right? So it's a mental yoga, we can say. Settling of the mind is meditation. And so I hope that answers.
That's a great way to put it. Because just when you were saying it, when you were saying about the peace, what you have inside, to combat all the changes we have in our lives, right? You must have heard of that saying that one thing is constant in life is change.
That's right.
And health change, the kids change, your work change, traffic pattern changes, but we always have what we have inside. And that's what you're trying to get to, because you always have yourself. You can just close your eyes and get there within minutes, and you always have that in yourself. That's a great way to put it.
Yes, it's the birthright of every human being. And the beauty of it is that universal self, and it's our own consciousness, and it's not far from us. People think, oh, how can I do that? How can I get to that? The only thing is we need a tool, and once we have the proper tool, and we just give a little bit of time to do it, just like people spend lots of time on different things. So this is for our own good, for our own wholeness, because we're always in divisions, we're always in duality, we're always in diversity, and it's not an escape. I mean, I have to emphasize that, because sometimes people are afraid of meditation because they think, oh, I don't want to be a recluse, I don't want to escape the reality. It's the complete opposite. It's 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the late afternoon, to go inward to where all the reservoir of infinite intelligence, infinite creativity, infinite peace is. That's our own inner being. Access that, and then come out enlivening that field of inner calm, inner peace, inner harmony, intelligence, creativity, all the good, all the kingdom is within. And then come out and live it. The whole idea is live it. So 6, 7, 8 hours dynamic activity. It's not for recluse. It's not for withdrawal from the world. It's definitely not an escape. Not an escape.
So Adile, before I met you, before I officially learned Transcendental Meditation, I have done a lot of things. I did the YouTube videos, I have apps on my phone, guided, not guided music, or sometimes it was like chakra meditation. So TM is very different. After I learned, I feel like it is completely different than all the other methods. But of course, the best thing is I have a teacher. All the other ones is very confusing. I don't know if I'm actually getting the effect from it, but hey, having 15 minutes of peace and quiet won't hurt, right? But after I learned TM, I find that it's very different than other kinds of meditation. So can you tell us why Transcendental Meditation is different than other forms of meditation?
Great. I appreciate actually this question very much, because it is true that there are different types of meditation, and there's a huge difference actually in the TM way. Now, what happens in most meditations out there, either it's guided visualization, a video, or it's something that we do on our own at the beach, looking at a beautiful sunset, or listening to some beautiful music. But most meditations require to focus. And also some effort. So focus and effort. So breathing techniques, to breathe in, peace, and breathe out tension and anxiety, which, by the way, it's better to do something than nothing. So if a person is feeling anxious, a practice like that, instead of focusing on the anxiety and anxiety creating thoughts, so I do appreciate these meditations, right, of affirmations. Prayers are even kind of one way of meditation. But what's happening is there's focus, right? So in TM, what we're doing is, if you think of the mind as an ocean, and the surface of the ocean is very active. So we are mostly familiar on a daily basis with the very surface level of the ocean in our mind, going from one thought to the other thought to the other thought, right? gotta go do this, gotta pick up my daughter, gotta call this client, always on the surface level. Now, if I'm doing a focus technique where I'm focusing on my breathing, it's almost like I'm now trying to stop one wave, stop, one thought, and I'm focusing on it. But that's not really allowing the mind to settle inward. And other meditations where open monitoring, mindfulness techniques where people are evaluating their emotions and their bodies and, being aware of what's happening in the body and emotions. Still, that's kind of diving a little bit on the surface level and then coming out. And, we're still in the waves. We're still active in the mind. What Transcendental Meditation does is, in a very easy, simple, gentle, effortless, and very natural way, without any effort, without any control, without any resistance to anything, easily settles the mind inward. Quieter, 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 quieter. And then to the quietest level of the mind where one actually, sometimes momentarily, sometimes a little bit longer. With practice, it changes, the experience changes, but we experience the quietest level in our own mind. And that's what transcend means. It means to go beyond the active level of the mind. And that whole experience that I just described, from the very surface level of the ocean to the quieter, that whole experience is transcending. And it's so valuable because we normally don't experience it. And in other meditations, when we have visualizations, when we're being guided, we dive a little bit, but that's it. We're still on the surface level. And the other very different thing about transcendental meditation that most doctors really appreciate and they recommend their patients to do TM is that this whole transcending experience of diving to the deeper and deeper levels of the mind, it is actually very restful. The research has found that it brings deep rest to the whole physiology. So the research shows that it's twice as more deeply restful than a night's sleep.
So Adile, I hear what you're saying about the rest, that really deep rest you can get from meditation, particularly TM, that once you transcend to the bottom, and that is just peace and quiet. There were times that when I started meditation, I didn't notice, but after I quiet down, I could hear there's a ringing in my ear that I didn't even know. I'm functioning, driving, all of that. And then I said, oh, it's so loud. I didn't even hear it. And then during that 20 minutes, I noticed that the ringing went away. So from learning TM, it is actually a gauge into the health of my nervous system, because for physiology you can measure your heart rate, you can measure your blood pressure. There is really no way I can talk to my nervous system and say, hey, how are you doing? Are you doing good, or are you too tense? Are you having a lot of anxiety? But TM, I learned, is the way to get to my nervous system. Would you agree?
Absolutely. That's a beautiful experience that all TM meditators have, actually, from our experience. So basically what's happening is when we are resting in both mind and body, first mind is settling inward, immediately body follows and body is resting. And in that rest, we're getting actually an expanded awareness. So with that increased rest, there's increased awareness, there's increased silence inside. And that's when we can actually hear what's happening in our own physiology. And that's why, sometimes we hear this saying, prayer is talking to God. Meditation is listening to God. And that's it. When we have inner calm, rest, and inner calm, inner quiet, we can hear actually what we need, what the body needs.
Now that I've done it for over a year, more than a year now, there are times if I'm too busy, I didn't have time to meditate, my body is telling me that you need to do this. Instead of okay, what is meditation's gonna do for me? I feel the inner peace, the calmness is so comfortable. You're so relaxed when you're there. Your body is telling you okay, get back there. We need this, go do meditation. And I can do it in my car. I can do it in my office, at home. in bed or on the sofa, like anywhere I close my eyes, I always have it in myself, and then I can get relief. So it's a very, very powerful technique.
Absolutely, and that's that point, Grace, that you brought about, that you can do it anywhere without anything. You're self-sufficient. Once you learn this from a certified teacher, there's a little bit of a course, and that's the beauty of it. And really, that's why it actually works every single time, because as you mentioned, you learn it the universal systematic way that it's been taught thousands and thousands of years old in this way. And once you learn it, it's yours. You don't need anyone, any app. You can come to your teacher or other meditators. There's always lifetime support. But really, you can do it at the beach, on the plane, at the airport, anywhere. It doesn't even have to be quiet. It's practical.
I've done it in all the places that you mentioned. And I want to mention that the course is very crucial, because I have you. I myself asked a million, silly questions on what to do. Is this right, or am I feeling it right way? So that's always nice to have someone to go to for that. Okay, Adelaide, I came from a math and science background, so I always feel like meditation. Like I don't know what's the actual scientific proof for it, but interestingly, from what I learned, TM has scientific proof behind it, right?
Absolutely, Grace. The founder of the TM technique, actually, very interesting, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, was a physicist by training. So he has a physics degree, like yourself, very scientifically mindset. And when he came to the United States, one of the first things he said was, research this technique, and he opened it to scientific inquiry, and he gathered scientists from Harvard, UCLA, and they started the research already back in 1970s. So the first scientific research study out of the 650 scientific research studies that have been documented, about 400 of those by now have been published in peer-reviewed refereed journals, academic scientific journals. But the first one is the groundbreaking study, 1972, UCLA and Harvard combined study, and published in the Scientific American. That's one of the most credible journals in the scientific community. And it was about what happens to a person's physiology, the brain and the different hormones when one is practicing transcendental meditation. So some of the measures that they found was that, in about just 10 to 12 minutes of TM, the metabolic rest that we gain is about 16%. And that's double the amount that we get during a night's sleep. So they could measure that.
Double. Wow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they can see that the cortisol levels are less during TM. They can measure that. So they also found that through the EEG cap that they can hook to the brain of a transcending person, in about, again, just a few minutes, the whole brain comes together in a coherent way. The right and left, the front and back of the brain comes together in one coherent functioning. And the prefrontal cortex, the CEO of the brain, is producing alpha-1 wave activity and then going to the rest of the brain. So there's this increased flow of blood and increased flow of alpha-1 wave activity, synchronicity in the whole brain. So that's very healthy, because our brain really is the conductor of the whole physiology. So to answer your question, there's a lot of research, it's scientifically backed, and we feel very good about that.
Well, if you're analytical like me, I always wanted to see proof. There are plenty of proof, and my cardiologist, medical doctors now prescribing TM to their patients, because it has proofs that it can help lower blood pressure and would help with heart health and many other health benefits.
Absolutely, that's right. And our center here, in Mountain View, which you mentioned, is in a medical zone actually. And the reason for that is the Camino Hospital across the street from us, they do have a stress management program, and they do prescribe meds to their patients. And so that's meditation, exercise, diet, sleep. But their preferred stress management meditation technique is transcendental meditation. So it's the most effective one, and it's the one that has the most scientific data. So that's why doctors recommend it.
That's great. I personally feel like I have gotten a lot of benefits doing TM. And besides my physical health, which I feel like I'm in a good place, now I am armed with more techniques and things I can do to help me mentally and, to help me in a better place. All for better health. That's all we want, right? And combat aging, combat stressors in life, and things that we cannot control in life. TM is a good way to help us be in a better place.
I appreciate that so much. That's so beautiful because, we think we can control and we're not. People say, I'm in control. Yes, we are. During the day, we are in control of our responses. We understand this. But with TM, it becomes easier. It becomes simpler to give the correct response.
That's great.
Because it's a nourishing field. Yeah.
So Adile, if our viewers want to learn Transcendental Meditation, how do they get a hold of you?
Oh yes, of course. So my email is A as in Apple, ESEN@tm.org. It's very simple. Shoot me an email and then we'll talk more. I'll answer any more questions you may have and we'll set you up.
Thank you so much, Adile, for being here today. I learned so much from you and I can't wait to get back into a session with you. And I always pick up new tips every time we get together.
I appreciate you very much.
Thank you so much for being here
You're
today.
welcome. Thank you.